Hello everyone. This is not a story for the faint of heart. Today, we will be stepping into the darkness of the most gruesome cases, where evil not only exists, but also leaves bloody and haunting traces. This is Real Gruesome Murder Cases, a series of true stories about murders that made the whole world shudder. If you are ready to face the cold truth and the gruesome corners of humanity, come with me to delve deeper into each case. Thoughts kill. I held in my cough as I entered the bathroom, senses already on high alert. Smoke unfurled around, blinding me for a moment. It took a second to gauge my surroundings, but once I had, it came as no surprise to see my older brother standing in their group. The only boy in here. After all, this was a ladies' bathroom. I watched in the mirror as the cigarette got passed around. A girl with pouting lips, caked in maroon lipstick, passed it to my brother. His lazy smile at her and the smoke around were in competition to make me nauseous. A familiar bubble of bile arose in my throat as he puffed out carbon monoxide. I clenched my nostril muscles, focusing on fixing my hair in the bathroom mirror. Luckily for me, I hadn't been spotted yet. They all started laughing as he did some kind of trick with the smoke. My eyes were so narrowed now, I could hardly see out of them. Once my hair was done, I walked over to the door, palm raised to open it, when a girl's voice said, "It's coming tomorrow." My brother's voice answered, "The LSD?" "Shut up!" the girl barked, leaving the bathroom deathly silent. I felt his eyes on my back before I saw them. Next thing I knew, I was slammed into the bathroom wall, inches from a familiar face. His lip curled. "Hello, sister." "Your sister?" the girl asked. She better not be a snitch. My brother didn't answer. I took refuge in the fact that I knew secrets of his that he'd rather die than let his friends know. Or that I knew he still had nightmares about Dad. Or that he used his blanket as a tissue for his snotty nose. His breath steamed on the mirror next to my head as he leaned in harder, earning a yelp from me as I felt his shirt button press in. "Don't let me find you in here again." I arched an eyebrow in response, trying to mask the turmoil inside. "LSD? No way." "Oh, brother, should I tell them?" He read all his secrets on my face. "Go to hell," he snarled. I held out my hand in answer. He looked ready to spit on me as he pulled out a $5 from his pocket. I shook my head with a smile. He took out another. I took the money from him, squirmed out from the bathroom, and contemplated calling Mom. I knew Caleb drug dealt, but this? Everyone knew it never stopped at cigarette door. It had only been a matter of time. And that night, I gave the money to Mum with a too bright smile. "You know, honey, I don't need a commission from the money you earn. The job pays well, Mum," I said with a shrug, the lie spilling from my mouth like silk. She gave me a side hug, then carried on with her work. I lingered for a moment, at odds on whether I should tell her. But when I saw her eyebrows sink into a furrow, her lips into a frown, I decided that she had enough on her plate. When the front door slammed, indicating my brother was home from God knows where, neither my mum nor I left our rooms to greet him. The ritual had been long gone since Dad had left. Well, Dad's hello was more actions than words to Caleb. I can't deny that I hadn't felt the want to stop him all the time. Hearing his footsteps outside my door, a feeling of hate so red clouded my mind that I found it hard to breathe. Mum was at the epicenter of it all. Her money had all been stolen by him for the drugs he was addicted to, then played off as a fraud. I was simply recycling the money back to the owner. It was tough falling asleep that night, knowing I couldn't stop what was going to happen tomorrow. But even if I could, I wouldn't. I wanted him to hit rock bottom. That was the only hope for change for him. And maybe that made me a sucky person. Hell, the worst person. But it's what he deserved in my eyes. The pain I saw flit on my mother's eyes when he'd come home drunk a few weeks ago was enough to make my fiery personality want to put a bullet through his heart. I avoided that bathroom at all costs on Tuesday. There was no way I'd be near choked again. I'd had to cover the bruises from yesterday up with a woolen scarf. In summer, I looked like a right idiot. School went smoothly. Well, as smoothly as a high school day in America can possibly go. And then I was home. I put my phone on D&D, the thoughts running through my mind, demanding instant attention. Being home alone was one of my favorite things. Just my mind and I. I sat on my windowsill, watching the city below me. There was something so serene in feeling the wind play on your face, to be isolated, but to also see hundreds of people below you, hustling around. I wonder if this is how God feels. I don't know how long I sat there for, but when I next opened my eyes, the sky was pitch black, and the city was now bustling with partygoers, dressed in sparkling dresses, with equally shiny champagne glasses in hand. I quickly climbed inside, wondering why my mum hadn't called for me yet. But then I heard a noise from her room. I hadn't realized how tight my chest had gotten, but it loosened as I felt her presence in the house. Caleb wasn't home yet. "Mum?" I asked, tentatively pushing her door open with a toe. I got a shock when I saw her bloodshot eyes turn up to look at me, tears streaming down and mixing with her mascara. I rushed to her side. "Mum? What's wrong?" I asked, a little forcefully, the panic already rising. Her eyes held mine as she whispered the words I thought I'd never hear. "Caleb is dead." Cha. The phone finally rang. It had been 5 days. The investigators said they'd call once they found out what had happened. "LSD doesn't kill," I murmur to myself, over and over. But it doesn't change the fact of what happened. "Hello?" I answered, words tasting weird on my mouth after not talking for nearly a week. "Is your mother there?" I passed the phone to my already crying mom, leaning in to listen over her shoulder. I only got bits and pieces. 5 minutes later, my mother put down the phone, hand still trembling. It wasn't LSD. He didn't take LSD. So he took something else? She shook her head, her throat bobbing as she swallowed a sob. The supplier sold them a synthetic drug as LSD. I had one goal. One. To put that supplier behind bars for the rest of his life. Maybe that would take away the guilt that I practically killed my own brother. The dark night. A shadow of a figure was running in the dark. All around were tall trees, and only a small fraction of the moon's rays got through the canopy. The ground was a black void, with no difference between the dirt and the tree roots. A pack of wolves howled in the distance. With every gust of wind, the tree branches and leaves banged and rustled like a toddler playing with pots and pans. Under all of that was a low mumble, rhythmic, like a drum cadence, but ghostly in origin. The figure trips. Eli. The scene quakes. Eli. The moon disappeared. Elijah. Blinding fluorescent light replaced the woods. 13-year-olds Eli and Tyler were sitting in the mall food court, eating dinner across from each other. Eli's heart was pounding in his ears, and his hands trembled. Tyler put her hands on his. "Eli, what did you see?" Eli repeatedly blinked back at her as the fog lifted from his head. "I don't really know." "Come on," she said, slinging on a side bag as she raised from her chair. "You can think about it on our way home. I don't want to miss the bus." Without a word, Eli cleaned up their table and carried the tray away. As soon as his hand was free, he reached for her hand. They walked away from the tables, with Tyler locking her arm from Eli's swinging. Not too many people were left in the mall. There were a few stragglers around the pop-up stands, but most were lacing their arms through jacket sleeves by the exits. However, two men, a twig-like one with close to the head African curls, and a log-like one with slicked hair, mostly to one side, didn't fit in either group. They stood off the side, away from everyone else, surveilling, looking for something. Their cookies and cream vibe didn't make Tyler divert their path. She was right until they stepped into their way. "Excuse us, Tyler Woodlock and Elijah Krieger?" the twig one asked through a British accent. Tyler pulled Eli closer. "No, sorry," she answered, starting to walk around them, with her and Eli's fingers turning red. "Government agents?" The other man stopped them, flipping open his budget case. "Miss Woodlock." The Brit slid closer as Tyler gave out a nervous laugh. She pulled it together with a devious smirk. "All right, agents." She stepped closer. "But one thing first." "Yes," the man said, putting his budget back. Tyler gave the Brit, the fitter one, a stiff kick in the shin. With him on the floor and his partner stunned, She yelled, "Run, Eli," giving Eli a push start. Eli sprinted off, getting a head start as Tyler toppled over a supply case. He headed for the loading docks, a path Tyler forced him to memorize for an emergency like this. As ordered, he ran without looking back. He nearly ran off the truck port in his mindset. He jumped down. Falling on his hands, he looked like a frog. He couldn't find the strength to stand, but he walked, half crawled, to the rear of the building. Collapsing against the brick, he took his chance to look back. She wasn't there. He stayed twisted around the corner, waiting for Tyler. All of a sudden, bright light beamed onto him. Drawing Eli's attention, the voice called out, "Stay there!" They boomed like a drill sergeant. He clambered to his feet and did the total opposite as the voice commanded. A stampede of boots followed Eli as he jotted into the wooded area on the other side of the loading lane. The fall night grew darker as he was chased farther in the woods. With every gust of wind, the tree branches and leaves banged and rustled. Their movement shifted and blocked the moon as if in a game of peekaboo. This and the uneven ground made Eli bobble like a pinball. The voice rang out again. "Get him! Don't let him get away." It allured him to look back. A light show of flashlights was going on behind. Even with all the light, however, the people remained shadows. A gopher tunnel tripped Eli up a bit. As he looked up, a pair of amber eyes, low to the ground, stared at him from a few yards away. The progression of howls following the encounter made Eli run fast. He couldn't hear the boots anymore. He would turn his head a few degrees before forcing it straight. The last one sent him flying into the ground. Tyler peered over a row of bushes. Eli laid on the ground, with only his chest moving up and down. As soon as she raised from her position, two men came into view. One went to Eli's side, and the other pulled out a radio. Asset found, about 4 clicks due east of the loading dock. The radio guy looked around the perimeter as the second man searched Eli's pocket. Tyler fished around in her bag. In the dark, the inside of her bag was a void. She felt cold metal as more men appeared. The one left Eli's side. "The cards aren't here, sir." Eli let out a moan as he began to stir. "Bring him. We'll find out soon enough where they are." He turned and started the procession away. Radio and Pocket Man gave each other a glance before Pockets threw Eli over his shoulder. The remaining men followed. Tyler took her hand out of her back. She fell to her knees, with her hands on her face. As the first tears started falling, she wiped them away with her fists clenched. She ran back to the mall, heading towards the parking lot. Her head bubbled back and forth, looking at the cars and people. Losing her structure, she fell back on her knees. She started crying again, right before her ears perked up. Snapping her head around, she saw the two agents from inside. "We lost, ma'am," she heard the agent who threw his badge in her face. They were ready to run. A grin grew across her face. She spined back, with her attention being grabbed by the rear of the car she fell in front of. The license read, CA, exempt, 387690. She had seen enough of those when the police raided their Romani dwellings. The odds of that being their car, she didn't know. Not did she know the odds of them automatically unlocking it far enough away that she could climb into the trunk before they were close enough to see. The two agents and their unknown guest arrived at their motel on the outskirts of town almost an hour after Eli was taken. The building wasn't too big, just 2 rows with 8 or so doors each. Behind each were a single room and a bath. The agents went first. Tyler waited until she couldn't hear them anymore before pushing out the back row cushion. Sitting on the floor of the car, she watched as they entered a room with the number 6 on the door. She opened the door carefully so she wouldn't hit the next car. In the same manner, she closed it without a sound. She strategically stepped as she reached back into her bag. After peering into the room's window, she saw the 2 agents with their backs to the door. There seemed to be nothing but a wall in front of them. But that didn't bother Tyler. She walked right in and pulled her hand out of her bag before slamming the door shut. The agents jumped if shots had been fired. They found that they weren't too far off. Dropping their phone, they were face to face with a gun barrel. "Hello again, miss." "Woodlock," one agent said, through his British accent as they snuck for their weapons. "Don't patronize me," she said, cocking her gun. "Do you think you can pull yours before I shoot the both of you? I've already proved I have grace under pressure." They both bring their hands forward. "What do you want?" the other one asked. "Well, Agent Vincent Petrov, I'm thinking about a trade." Flaunting his arrogant British accent, he asked, "What would you have that we would?" Cutting him off, Tyler pulled out a deck of tarot cards. "Really, I might be a child, but I'm not an idiot." "That still doesn't answer my question," Vincent said. "I want Eli back." "Excuse me, even if I believe for a second you're not with the men who took him, you bring him back to me, and you get these no-so-meaningless cards, and we all live happily ever after." The agents gave each a glance. "Let me make this easier. You do this, or I shoot you, and go on my merry way." Eli was groggy, teetering between awake and asleep for the car ride, though no one could tell through the blindfold, nor from his position in the trunk. They had tried his wrists and ankles to stop the little fight he had in him. No kicking, no hitting, no running. More helpless than he was without Tyler. He was asleep when the car stopped, but was jarred awake when one of the men yanked him out. Being bobbled around, his face was red and breathed deeply, trying to keep dinner in. The only relief came when he was dropped to the floor. After the bang of the door, Eli was left to wait once more in the dark. He pulled at his ropes, only stopping when the burning turned into paper-cut sensations. No closer to freedom, he crumbled, stopped straining, stopped fighting, stopped holding it together. Back at the motel, Tyler sat crisscrossed on the first bed from the door, yanking her locket back and forth on its chain. She stared at the agents that sat on the other side of the room. She tried to hear what they were saying, but they put the same effort into the opposite. "What are we going to do, Miles?" Vincent asked. "Play the game. Easier said than done. We know when, where, and a fair idea of by who. The who is what scares me. I would be more scared of the lass if we don't." "I agree with Agent Walker," a woman dressed in a white skirt suit with her dark hair in a spiral braid said just inside the room. "Ms. Isles?" Vincent jumped out of his seat. Tyler did the same. She stared at the woman, jotting a glance at the door, then back. No one heard the door open or closed. "Hello, miss." "Woodlock," Ms. Isles said, raising her hand. "Hi," Tyler said, more like a question than snipe, without shaking her hand. "Well, do you want the good news or the bad news?" "Good would be best," Vincent toddled. Isles looked at Tyler. "Find the boy. Bring him back. Finish your original mission," she said through a smile. She began to walk away. She already had her hand on the doorknob before any of them stopped her. "What about the bad news?" Miles shouted. "Work with her, Walker. Work with her," she said, leaving before and without argument. Eli had no idea how long he was asleep for, but when he opened his eyes, he was met with a blinding light. He stretched out to find his legs and arms unbound. Panicked and joyed, he shuddered and jostled. He missed the hand on the wrist. A shadow eclipsed the bright light. "Do you mind not moving?" The voice sounded familiar. With the light masked, Eli could start to see the room. First, the man kneeling in front of him, graying hair, flannel button-up shirt, and placid blue eyes. Then small red spots on the gray cement floor. And last, white bandage roll, some on his right wrist, and the man wrapping more onto his left. "I think you've bled enough on my floor for today," the man said, finishing his work. "Your floor? Don't be put off by the casual dress. I'm the boss here, and that's why I can offer you this. You answer all my questions, and you can go home to your gypsy family, to your sweet wife, Tyler, without any more harm." "What do you want to know?" Eli asked as he sat up. "Why don't we start with something simple? Why did you run away from me at the loading docks?" said the man who blared a flashlight in Eli's eyes earlier that night. Vincent sat at the small two-person table, glaring at a street map and a calculator. "How is it going, Vince?" Miles asked, leaning over Vincent's shoulder. "Not great. Knowing that they took Elijah 75 minutes ago, and assuming they stayed within 5 miles per hour of the speed limit, they can be anywhere within and around 50 miles away from the mall. That's a big area. You don't know the half of it." "Miss Woodlock." "Tyler!" she yelled at him. "My name's Tyler. Tyler, he put his hands up halfway. Can you give us anything? Car model, direction, anything? I was a little busy, trying not to get caught myself. Trying to find you fools. If we try to search all of this, Vincent pulled Miles closer and lowered his voice. We won't get to him in time. Don't talk like that, Tyler yelled, with a little cry behind it. You start talking like that, and things will end that way. She fell back onto the bed, with her hands on her face. Miles glared down at Vincent, with his arms crossed. He kept that position as he walked over to the bed. Sitting next to her, he put his arm around her, with an air bubble between them. Thanks, she said, whipping her hands out from her face. It's getting late. Why don't you rest for a bit? We don't want our sharpshooter's eyes heavy. I've been one for the last 10 years. But, she paused, bringing up her watch on her right wrist. Watch, she continued, jumped off the bed. What? Miles followed her towards Vincent. Watch. She started searching her bag. I got Eli a watch for our first anniversary. He never takes it off. She presented the watch's instructions. And it has GPS. Anniversary? They asked. During their time together, the man asked Eli an array of questions. Most about trivial personal things to get Eli relaxed and uncoil from his balled-up position. It was working, too. He was as relaxed as if he was home. His eyes glassed over as the questions droned on. The room faded away. A dark place appeared. A spotlight shines on the center. A glint of metal moved in from the bottom. A gun, revolver, a white hand, a flannel sleeve. The hand snapped the bullet holder back into the gun. It aimed. Destroying the image, the shot fired caused Eli to scream and hold his ear. His ears were still ringing when the man tried to calm him down. Eli saw what he expected was on his own face, on the man's. The man removed Eli's hands. His mouth moved, but Eli couldn't hear it. He yanked himself away. Why are you asking me all these questions? What do you want? The man had a blank face. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. After straightening his shirt, he said, You have something that belongs to me. I don't have anything. Eli shuddered. Not now, but... He exhaled heavily through his nose. Tyler gave you something. A set of tarot cards. I don't know where they are, he stuttered. Well, it's the last question you have to answer. So give it a good thought. They could be anywhere. In the woods where you chased. Back in the mall where the other two did. With, he said, trying to put the brakes in his mouth. Sir, you know where they are. No, I don't. Yes, you do. He pulled a gun from his back waistband. Tell me. Eli's mouth opened, but the only crashing noises came. The sound made both of them jot their attention towards the door. The man gritted his teeth. The other two. Staring down at his gun, he weighed it in his hand before bringing it down on Eli's head. Eli fell to the floor again. The last thing he saw before the backs of his eyelids was the man's black shoes walking out the door. The black gave way to wisps, at first merging into cacti and sand. They whirled by through the view from a car window. Tyler sat on the opposite side, smiling back. In the front seat sat Miles and Vincent. The whole picture felt loving and had a dream-like glow. It faded into a face full of fabric. Before he could freak out like his earlier ones, a hand touched his shoulder. "You're all right now. You're safe," Tyler cooed. In a quick movement, Eli raised to hug her, nearly bringing them to the floor. Regaining her structure, she hugged back. In their embrace, Eli missed Miles and Vincent standing off to the side, smiling down at them. How to rob a library. Harry was ready. Harry hated books. The plan was simple. If he robbed the library, there would be no books to read. No books equals no library. Even if the library wanted to buy new books, they would have no place to put them. Phase 10 of the plan was to burn the library to the ground. The mission was ready to go. Phase 1. Knock out any guards. You will need fry pan and 2 ropes. The guards wouldn't stand a chance. There were only 2 of them anyway. What harm could they do? The answer to that was a lot of damage. The guards had been trained in the martial arts, so if you stood in their way, you were burnt toast. Good thing Harry wasn't bred, or the mission would be even more difficult. He slowly crept through the bushes, holding his fry pan in one hand and the rope in the other. Soon he saw a light getting close. A guard was coming. Piece of cake, Harry thought. This was going to be fun. Ding! The guard fell down to the floor, so he was tied to a tree. 1 down, 1 to go. Slowly, Harry crept out of the bushes and looked around. Where was the guard? "Hey, you! Stop right there!" called a voice from behind him. Time for real fun. Harry swung the fry pan through the air, and with a thunk, it came to rest on the guard's head. Thud. Time for Phase 2 of the plan. Phase 2. Disable the security cameras. You will need the pickaxe to be sure that no one found him out tomorrow. Harry would have to hide a lot of evidence, like knocking out the guards. All he had to do was smash all the cameras around him. There were about 20 of them, scattered around the place. Number 1. Harry threw the pickaxe through the air. Bullseye. Number 2. It spotted him before he saw it, but no evidence remains now. Number 3, 4, 5, 6. Too easy. Number 7. Whoever designed this must have thought that 1-year-olds were the only criminals around. The rest were too easy to be recorded. Time for Phase 3. Phase 3. Shoot a window on the top floor of the library. You will need a gun. Harry took a deep breath. He got one shot at this. That was all. If he missed, he would have to reshoot. Then it would be more likely people had heard the shots and come to invocate. Ready, aim, fire. Bang. Smash. The shot couldn't have been better. The window shattered instantly. Time for Phase 4. Phase 4. Climb up the library. Don't do with adult supervision. You will need a rope. Harry took a deep breath. It was time to climb. Using all of his force, he threw the rope up to the smashed window. Then he began to climb up the library. Error in the plan. It has recently rained, and the building is now very slippery. There was no safety gear added to the list. A slip will result in being in a coffin. Harry was about halfway up the 10-meter-high building when the error came into place. He tried to take another step. He slipped and fell. Luckily, he grabbed the rope just in time, so he got away with just a few scratches. So much for a library being a safe place for kids, he thought. Finally, he reached the top. It was time for Phase 5. Phase 5. Take down the librarian. The librarian will never leave. Its post, not even after hours. You will need glue and the remaining rope. Harry looked around, knowing the librarian could be anywhere, watching him. He got to work covering the floor with glue. It was going to be a sticky trap to fall into. Time to do the fun bit. Make noise. One thing you should know about librarians is they hate noise. Shh is one of their favorite words to use. So, noise would be the bait to the trap. Harry counted to 3, and then, boom. He rejected at the top of his voice. A second later, he heard footsteps coming towards him. "I'm over here!" He cried. The librarian turned around and scowled. "Come here, boy." She yielded, taking a step forward. Squelch. She soon found herself glued to the floor. Now it was time to tie her up, just for the fun of it. Time for Phase 6. Phase 6. Rob the books. You will need a sack. Harry did that immediately, so I won't record that. Phase 7. Get ready to set the fire. You will need some of the stolen goods and petrol. Fun was rising in Harry's soul. Time to get ready for the fire. He walked up to the tied librarian and grinned. Then he ripped some of the books to shreds. Then he sprinkled them all around the room. That was just the beginning. Time for the petrol. Harry ran around the room, pouring it everywhere. The librarian looked furious. That made Harry feel a sense of achievement. Phase 8. Make sure the librarian won't get killed in the fire. You won't need anything. Harry walked up to the librarian. "I'm sorry, miss, but I'm going to have to throw you out the window," he said. The librarian looked furiously at him. "Did you not know that a librarian never leaves its post?" She screamed angrily. "Oh well," thought Harry, "so be it." Phase 8 has been cancelled. Phase 9. Make sure you can escape easily. You will need a safe place. Harry looked around the room. He couldn't go through the window because the rope would catch fire. He couldn't just stay here, though. He had to do something. It was then that Harry realized that there was a door to the library, so he could just escape through it. Too bad it can't be a bit dramatic, he thought. Phase 10. Light the fire. You will need the matches. Flick. Harry struck the match. Then he walked over to the petrol. Then he set the fire. He now had just 3 minutes to escape. Fire was already everywhere the eye could see. It was time for the next phase. Phase 11. Escape the library. You will need lots of luck. Without looking back at the screaming librarian, Harry raced downstairs. The fire chased him the whole way. It didn't stop until Harry wasn't out of the library. By now, the building was alight in the darkness, so the firemen and police would be here. Phase 12. Throw the sack of books in the river. You will need the sack of books. Harry raced down to the cold, dark river. It was time to get rid of the books. Without hesitation, he threw the books into the murky depths. He smiled as he watched them go. Phase 13. Act innocent. Sirens wailed as the police came to the scene. Time to do the job. Harry walked right past the police, and they didn't notice. Who would expect a kid to break into a library and murder someone anyway? For more information on how to do damage, please go to your local library, if it hasn't been burnt down, and find more of our how-to guides. A fatal prank check. The day started off like any other April Fool's Day. Minor pranks, like taping the bottom of the faucet and letting all the water squirt up at the person's face and clothes. Unplugging the copy machine so others can think it doesn't work, and they have to handwrite it. Sticky, noting a random person's cubicle, and placing an upside-down cup that says, "Don't move this cup unless you're going to kill it," on someone's desk who's scared of insects, but come to find out there isn't anything under it. There are much more pranks that happen at our company's office. It was just a matter of time until someone took it overboard. That someone wasn't just a someone. We were all included. Tommy Miller was just the poor guy who had it done to him. We all swore that day. We swore that we wouldn't tell, that no one will find out what happened. I knew all things. Or did I get it all wrong? After all the pranks were over, everyone was at the edge of their feet, hoping that all the pranks were completed. Little by little, an untouched prank would make its way through. But it was fading, and everyone could work at peace. Our boss, David Klon, never liked attending work on April Fools. He stopped coming after one of his employees, Serenity, wrapped his whole office. When I mean the whole office, by the time he cut through the layers of saran on his door, which took hours, he walked into a room and office equipment covered in layers of fine plastic. It was honestly the cherry on top to past pranks, stealing his coffee machine and his backup, removing his fridge away from his room, and potentially removing all his furniture. These were great boss pranks, and I'm surprised no one got caught or fired. The day was almost ending, and daytime shifters were exiting the building. It didn't matter, because the daytime shifters consisted of 4 to 5 workers. The main workers of 6 to 10 workers were us, the all-time shifters. It consisted of Matt Donovan, Sophie Mari, Carson T., Maddie Marone, Evan Tyson, Mickey L., Victoria Stallion, Tommy Miller, and I, Francis D'Angelo. We were all somewhat close, definitely in age, but somewhat in communication. The only person who stayed to themselves was Tommy. He was the quiet businessman type, focused on his own work and prioritizes. He thought the office pranks were stupid, although he didn't directly say that. He had a short comb-over cut, his brown hair nicely gelled off to the right of his head. He wore suits, the nice kind. He arrived early to work, never arrived late in his life, I suppose. Matt Donovan stood up from his cubicle and gathered everyone who was left in the office. Except for Tommy. We all gathered up in my cubicle because I was the last one to be gathered up. "What's going on?" I questioned, knowing something was up. Matt replied quickly, "We're going out, having fun tonight. We all know we're the brilliant masterminds that are behind all the crazy pranks." He was wrong, at least this time. I had nothing to do with any pranks this year. I ran out of things to do, and although that seems awful, me, Francis D'Angelo, pranking innocent co-workers of mine. I know, but it's fun and a one-time, each year type of thing. So, that's all? You want us to all go out? Like to the bar? Victoria asked. What I think Matt is trying to say is that he wants us to go out so we can turn up and congratulate ourselves for being awesome pranksters, Carson said. He was always the goofy one. That's not what I meant. I do think we should celebrate another year of great pranks, but not yet. I think we should all do one final prank, Matt said suspiciously. He made my spine tremble when he talked like that. Okay, Matt. April Fool's is practically over. What is the big prank about, anyway? I wanted to know, too, just as much as Evan did. Well, my dear Evan, we're going to prank Tommy Miller. What? I couldn't believe it. Why Tommy? He was, I don't know. He was just different. Pranking him tonight was stupid. Matt, that's stupid. Keep your voice down, Francis. You don't have to be a part of it. We won't exactly need you anyways. And what is that supposed to mean, Matt? I'm totally in. My blood was boiling. How can Matt say that after that fact, I helped him last year prank his mom? Okay, good. Mickey, Maddie, and Sophie, you guys in? Sure, whatever. Yeah, fine. Okay, here's the plan. We all huddled into each other, listening to Matt's prank. Even though this prank was a little too serious, we all thought it was a nutty idea. It was interesting, and it seemed funny. I also couldn't back down from it. I just couldn't. Hey, Tommy, we're all going out for some pizza and beer. Want to join us? Tommy rotated his chair, facing up. Why? I mean, thanks for the offer, but I think I'll have to pass. He turned back around. We knew this was gonna happen. Victoria makes her way to Tommy. She places her soft hands on his shoulders. Oh, please, Tommy. She massages his shoulders. I think you should hang with us. You're always so. She stoops down to his ear. Tense. She removes her touch from him and walks toward us. She is absolutely astonishing. Tommy spins back again to face us. We wait a little while for the answer that we've been waiting for. Okay, I suppose one night of hanging out won't hurt. Plan A. Flirtatious. Victoria. Check. Plan B. Complimenting. Matt in progress. That's a sport, Tommy. I always knew you had in you. You got the looks, dude. All you need is the bad attitude, and you're all set, my guy. We could all tell Tommy was flattered. Plan B was another check, getting Tommy to like us. Let's take some shots before we hit the road, Ivan yelled. We all walked to the office's lounge. As soon as we walked in, Ivan and Matt hunched over a barrel-looking thing. They pulled out 2 bottles of vodka. I could tell Victoria was excited, but the rest looked somewhat confused on how they even snuck that in here. Of course, we aren't going to drink all of it, but a shot or 2 will do. I'll get the solo cups. Tommy hesitates to walk into the lounge, but Sophie walks to him and grabs his arm. You're first, hot stuff. No. I think I'm good. I don't think you guys should even have those in this building, due to how unprofessional that is, and also because we're going to be driving in cars. Last time I checked, drunk driving is illegal. Oh, please, Tommy, don't ruin this for us, dude. Evan poured some vodka into each of the 9 cups. We all took one, even Tommy. We all pushed him into doing so. He had to, so he could overcome what was going to happen next. Afterward, we walked to the coat rack and grabbed our stuff. We all walked out together, without Tommy. We let him catch up with us at the parking lot for future purposes. We all gathered around our cars. Luckily, Sophie and Even caught a ride with Matt today. Less cars to ride in equals less suspicion. Ugh, there you guys are. You guys walk mighty fast. I'm guessing you can't wait to party. Tommy laughs with a tone that sounds humorless. We went along with it, so we can spark up the mood. Ha ha ha. You're so funny, Tommy. We all cried in unison. So, Tommy, I don't see your car anywhere. Did you catch a ride with someone today? I just realized that Tommy's station wagon wasn't parked anywhere around. That was weird. Oh yeah, I took the bus. My old thing is in mechanics. She's beautiful, but losing her touch, I suppose. Mind if I catch a ride with one of you guys? Not at all, Tommy. Not at all. Matt's voice sounded too enthusiastic. He nodded to Yvonne. Come on, Tommy. You're riding with me. Evan had a nice, wide smile across his face. Plan C. Dump him in progress. It was go time. Sophie and Victoria walked to Tommy's side. We're riding with you and Yvonne. This is gonna be a fun ride, even in the shallow night. I can tell. Tommy's face got a little red. Yvonne popped the trunk of his Audi open. Carson walked to Yvonne's car and held the trunk open for him. Thanks, dude. This car is a piece of crap. The stupid trunk door can't even stay open by itself. Hey, Tommy, you can place your stuff in the trunk. It won't fit in the back seat. Sorry. Tommy walks to the trunk and starts placing his stuff in the trunk. Before you do that, Tommy, I have to move some stuff around to make room. May I use your flashlight on your phone to see? Yeah, sure. Tommy hands Evan his phone. Evan turns the flashlight on and pretends to make space in the back of his trunk. Maddie and I go into Matt's car. We peeked out the window to see what was happening. Sophie and Victoria also go into Yvonne's car. They couldn't see anything because of the trunk's door. Mickey and Matt slowly walk towards Yvonne, Carson, and Tommy. Everything okay? Jeez, you guys take mighty long. What's going on? Yvonne talks. Tommy, you can place your stuff in now. Tommy did as Yvonne said. We're just trying go time. Mickey and Matt shove Tommy into the trunk. Mickey pins Tommy down, and Evan removes a roll of duct tape from his pocket. Yvonne tucks Tommy's phone into Matt's pocket, rips a chunk of tape with his teeth, and smacks it onto Tommy's mouth. Happy April Fool's Day, Tommy. You gotta live a little. Matt waves to Tommy. Carson slams the trunk door shut and enters into a separate car with Mickey. Plan C. Dump him. Check. On to Plan D. Plan D. Car ride around town in progress. We all drove in separate cars. We drove in random directions. When we drove around other cars, we intentionally stayed back a few cars. We were just going to drive a little, then stop at Mamma Mia's Pizzeria. We drove for an hour and 35 minutes. I just stared out the window, wondering how the others were doing, wondering how Tommy was doing. I wondered if he was confused or scared. Maybe he was just enjoying this wild adventure or sleeping. I can't wait to see the look on his face when he realizes that today might just be the best day of his entire life. Ivan's car. I got my hands up. They're playing my song. They know I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, it's a party in the USA. Yeah, it's a party in the USA. Sophie and Victoria sang. You girls having fun? Definitely, Ivan, Sophie shouted. I can't wait to get wasted, Victoria proclaimed. Hey, Tommy, you having fun in there? This is a wild ride for you, Tommy. This is the best day of your freaking life, dude. If you aren't having a great time, well, screw you. Ivan laughed and yelled. Songs kept playing, and the singing kept going until they arrived at Mamma Mia's pizzeria. Mickey's car. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey. Carson wailed. Shut up, moron. You're such a goof. By the way, my name isn't the name in the song. Dummy. Whatever. I was just being silly. It was funny. You have to admit. Yeah, sure. They look at each other and start laughing tears. How do you think Tommy's doing? He should be fine. I mean, come on, that was a funny prank. Did you see the look on his face? Ah, speechless. That was a fun time. I sort of feel bad for the guy. He had no clue what was happening. He had it coming. Besides, it's just a prank, Carson. Matt even said it himself. Matt's car. I continue to stare out the window. The cars wisp by as Matt drives past every light and building. My lap vibrates, and I pick up my phone. The screen light glares on my face as I read the text that I've received. Maddie, don't you think it's a bit weird? We're the only two that haven't helped in this whole prank. I haven't thought about that, really. Me. Well, Matt did say, regardless of me attending this prank, he doesn't need me. I don't know what the excuse for you is, though. I'm sure he'll give us something to do. The thought of Matt not needing me made me upset. Maddie, I felt, had a point. Why hadn't I gotten a role yet? Maddie, I guess you're right, but something seems off. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure I don't want to find out. Matt glances over his seat and smiles at both Maddie and I. You girls sitting nice and tight back there? Just fine. Thank you, Maddie says, sounding a bit sarcastic. Yup, just starving. I really am hungry. Well, I just so happened to bring along the vodka. Care for another shot or two? Yeah, why not? Matt expands his arm while peeking his eye on the road to reach the bottle of vodka beneath the glove compartment. He hands the bottle over. I twist the cap and waterfall a big gulp of the bitter alcohol into my mouth. I offer some to Maddie, but reluctantly, she refuses. After a while, my head starts to spin, and the passing of cars begins to turn a little blurry. Car motion and the beginning of becoming drunk aren't a good mix. Occasionally, I would gargle a couple strands of vodka into my mouth. It made me almost forget why I'm in this car in the first place. Plan D. Car ride around town. Check. Secret plan. Plan E. Unload in progress. Mamma Mia's Pizzeria parking lot. I'm sleeping in the back seat, while Maddie gently shakes me to wake up. I just moan, giving the hint to leave me alone. Maddie gets out of the car with Matt and joins the others. As everyone heads inside, Tommy and I are left alone in separate cars. By this time, the bottle of vodka is completely empty, and I don't even remember me finishing the last gulp. I lie back with my eyelids feeling extremely heavy. Everything around me was a bit muffled. I felt prickles all over my body. Do you have Maddie? Yes. Do I? Yes. Now. It's all set. Let's go. Maddie? Matt? What were you guys talking about? Their voices were in and out. I feel very dizzy. The whole night felt dark. There I was, gone. I was always just gone. Looking out, but looking inside now. I guess the whole time, I sort of knew. I just didn't want to admit it. Secret plan. Plan E. Unload. Check. No one would suspect a thing when they find us. I mean, in the beginning, I just thought it was a silly prank. But I didn't realize I wasn't a part of it all. Just the fact that Tommy and I were the prank. When we both didn't wake up. Tommy being dead, and I being intoxicated and drugged. I didn't know. We both didn't know. And that's the sad part. Chad. Autopsy. Tommy Miller. Age 24. Male. Brown hair and eyes. Location of death. In the woods. Time of discovery. Saturday morning. 7:30 a.m. Inward body. Consumption of alcohol. Lungs collapsed. Difficulty breathing. Vomit in the esophagus. Outward body. Pale skin. Red under eyes. Eyes opened. Half naked. Possibility of the cause of death. Choked on vomit. Failure to breathe. Francis D'Angelo. Age 22. Female. Blonde hair and green eyes. Location of death. In the woods. Time of discovery. Saturday morning. 7:30 a.m. Inward body. Consumption of alcohol. Multiple drug consumption. Outward body. Pale skin. Needle markings. Bloodshot eyes. Eyes opened. Half naked. Possibility of the cause of death. Intoxication. And everything was planned ahead of time. Maybe a month before April Fools. Everyone who I thought were my friends, co-workers, had everything planned. All evidence was hidden, and everything was perfectly placed. Everything was supposed to be a silly prank, but it turned out to be a prank gone terribly wrong. Murder. Hi, Miranda. I'm officially Officer Zionel, but you can call me Zoe. I just want to ask you a few questions about the recent situation. Zoe, don't say recent situation. It's stupid when we all know that what you mean is murder of your father. You're a feisty kid, Miranda. Thanks. I take it as a compliment. Now that we got that out of the way, do you remember exactly where you were at exactly 6:53 p.m. on July 17th? Gosh, I don't remember. It seems that all of my memories have been wiped from my head. Miranda! Okay. I won't be a brat. But you said yourself that I'm feisty, Zoe. I didn't mean it as a compliment, like you took it. Whoa, ho, ho. She's got an attitude, too. I think we'll get along. So, what's the real answer to my question? I was at the bowling alley with my twin Maya and our best friends Sarah and Diavian. We were about to eat pizza before the next game. It was a tournament. When Gima called and said Dad was shot. Long story short, me and Maya left before we could finish the tournament, and our friends lost. That's what Maya said. But who's Gma? Maya mentioned a grandma, but not a Gma. Oh, right. Maya calls our grandma, but I call her Gma. That's what I called her when I was little, and I couldn't say grandma, and it stuck. All right. How did your grandmother know that your father was hit? She went over to our house to drop off some books that I had left at her house. And that's when she found him. Dead as a doornail, right there on the kitchen floor. You and Maya's stories are matching up, but Maya seemed a lot more emotional about this than you do. She was practically sobbing as she talked to me. Why are you so cool and collected? Zoe, do you seriously not realize that Dad is not Maya and I real dad? That one left us before we were born. Don't have a clue where he's at. When Mama married Rob, Maya warmed up to him immediately. I was not so cooperative. I've never been close to him. Yeah, he's always been there for me, but he never, and will never, now, become a father to me. When I first found out about it all, I was a little upset. But it only took me a day to be over it. Maya, like you said, is still a wreck. Oh, I understand now. So, the first person your grandmother called was you. Not Maya, or your uncle, or any of your aunts? Not even your mother? Yeah. Now remember that this was Mama's mama. She didn't want to hurt Mama right away. Maya would be too sensitive too, and she didn't have any of Rob's siblings' numbers. So, the first one she called was me. Simple as that. Maya told me that your grandmother called you first because she thought you were closest to Rob. You're a bad liar, Zoe. I know my sister like I know my own mind. She, and everyone else in our family, already knows that I'm not the closest person to Rob. So what did she say? You know, you should be a detective. I did my best lying, and you still got me. That could come handy in a lot of situations if you become a part of the force. Yeah, whatever. What did Maya say? Same thing as you, Miranda. Okay. So, now what? Can I leave? Please. I need to talk to Maya. She's probably hysterical by now. No, you can't. I'm sorry. There are still a few more questions that I have to ask you. Where was your mother when Rob was so awfully killed? She was at work, at the hospital. They were short-staffed. Okay, this may be a dumb question, but do you know where your aunts and uncle were? Yeah, they were all getting together for a dinner at Olive Garden. Rob was going to go with them. I'm guessing that he must have been on his way out when he was shot. Do you know of anyone who had a grudge against Rob? Miranda, who is it?
Sure.
Miranda, was it you?
Karen.
Why, Miranda?
Hasisasa.
Miranda! I hated him. He abused me. He slapped me, punched me, kicked me. He verbally abused me too. He never did it to anyone else. Your sister knows. She's covering up for you. Yes? Was it self-defense? Or did you do it because you were so sick of it all? Self-defense. Despite all of these lies, I promise you that it was just self-defense. He was trying to hurt me again. He was screaming at me. I went into his room and got into the gun safe. I pulled the gun out. I hid it behind my back while I walked downstairs. In the kitchen, he started to slap me and punch me in the gut and face. After a few minutes, I just shot. I couldn't stop it. It is possible for us to prove that. So you wouldn't be put in juvie. For now, though, you'll have to stay here at the station. I'm sorry, Miranda. I can tell you're telling the truth, but I can't release you until we can prove that, now that you've admitted that. I understand. All right, come with me. We're going to go talk to Maya. Miranda! Oh, God. You told her, didn't you? Yes, I did, Maya. I'm sorry. It's okay. I still love you. I love you too. All right, girls. Maya, will you tell me the truth of what you know? Of what actually happened? That's the thing. I don't know anything. All I know is what Miranda told me. She shot Rob because he was trying to hurt her again. Then she came to the bowling alley to play in a tournament. That part of our story was true. Okay. I'm going to call your mother to pick you up, Maya. Miranda, you stay with her until I come back. Okay, all right. Suicide pact. Every Friday, my parents cook the most delicious turkey that has ever existed on Earth. They use natural ingredients that I have never heard of before. Every time they make it, I ask them for the recipe. They just never tell me. Instead, they look at me with a smile mixed with sadness and joy, and tell me that one day, when their time has come to pass, they will tell me. Tell me the secret ingredient. This is the routine that happens every week, every Friday. Little do they know that their time will be my time too. Although I know that my parents won't tell me the recipe, I give it another shot. Walk up to them, give them my best smile, take their hands, and ask. But they already know what I am going to say. They grin and shakes their heads, nodding towards my room, sending me the message to get ready for bed. I sigh and slump towards my room. I stop in front of my door. The door is decorated with pictures from my favorite band. The picture on the very left makes me smile. It's the picture of my favorite band member making a silly face. I laugh dreamily and stare into his brown eyes, but I'm not the only one laughing. Soon enough, my older brother Luke is pounding me on the back and laughing. Not really a nice laugh either. "Lola, you've got to stop this," he chokes out. "Stop what?" I demand, my brows furrowed. "Stop joking around with your pictures. It's too funny to handle." I raise my eyebrows high and stare at him, long and hard. Finally, I shoot him a glare and step into my room. I don't forget to slam the door right into his laughing face. See, this is the reason I need to get away from my family. My brother. He is so annoying. You wish that you weren't born. And I don't. Yes, I am killing myself because of my brother. It was either this or run away. But if you run away, you just get kidnapped and killed anyway. So what's the difference? Once safely in my room, and my brother gone, I sneak into my closet and pull out the small but strong bulletin board that I got from my grandmother on my birthday. I forgot to check yesterday's square on the calendar, so I will do it with today's. I take the white chalk I have been using the past month out of the box that it was in and slash 2 white lines next to the others. When done, I carefully put everything back in my closet and lie on my bed. Breathing slowly, I run down the suicide plan in my mind. When I come back to my room from brushing my teeth, something in the room is different. The lights are off. Did Mom come in here? Dad couldn't, because he's in Miami for work. Oh no. What if my brother came in here? I try to shrug it off and crawl under my covers. The whooshing of the wind outside quickly drowns me in my sleep, and all my thoughts are lost. The next morning, I get up late. I quickly eat breakfast and get ready for school. I arrive at school on time, but I'm still worried about the lights turned off yesterday. Someone must have went into my room, did something, and forgotten that the lights had already been on when they went in. My worried look must be severe, because Angie, my best friend, asks me if I am all right at lunch. "Oh, I'm fine, I reply. Her head is cocked to the side, and she studies me closely. I try to give her a brief smile and shrug it off. This is a good idea, because Angie knows that my shrugs are all truthful and intentional. I feel so bad, though, for betraying and lying to my friend, even though she can help me get out of this mess. I remind myself that some things are meant to be dealt with alone and individually, but I still feel bad. So before the lunch bell rings, I ask her if she wants to come over, and her face lightens. She tells me, of course. When school ends, we meet up at our usual spot near the gate and start to walk towards my house. We talk about the usual things: hallway gossip, grades, and boys. When we get to my house, we watch a movie and make slime, which fortunately takes my mind off things. Before Angie leaves, she hugs me tight and whispers into my ear that she knows something is wrong and that she can help me anytime with it. She tells me that I am never alone. If only that were true. Even after our time together, Angie and I only used up 3 hours of our time. I still have 1 hour left to chill. I get bored, so I decide to slash today's mark earlier than usual and head into my closet. When I pull out the bulletin board, though, all the tally marks are gone. I'm so shocked that I gasp out loud. What? What? I stutter. I was not going to let this go. If someone had done this, only my brother could. My mother wouldn't do such an evil thing. But if my brother had read the notebook, then he would know that he was being such a pain. I wait until he comes home from work and confront him. It did not work as well as I thought, though. He convinces me that I can't kill myself because of one person, that I need more bad things in my life to hate myself enough and kill myself. We sort it out, and he swears to not be much of a pain anymore. I guess some things are meant to be dealt with by talking and not action. I have learned my lesson. What would you like, sir? Sir, we need you. Ed, please don't panic. Tell me what happened. A man died at 4th Rose Street in Pie A Trust Bakery. Pray, tell his name. Robert Jr. Business tycoon Robert Jr. A sudden alarm switches on in my mind. You are right, sir. I hang up the phone. A new case is like coffee shots for me. Sudden shots of energy with a sudden smell of success. Being a private detective was tough in 1959. The remnants of World War were still haunting people's minds. So basically, everyone was behind food and money. Hence, the rise of murders and death of rich men were the constant headline of newspapers and weekly magazines. The police were sometimes behind the culprit, or were sometimes the culprit themselves. My first successful case was about Dorothy Maddock, a murder mystery that had shaken the neighborhood. At that time, I was 19, who had only read Sherlock Holmes as his curriculum, and used to write some articles for a newspaper column. Back then, I took the case for justice, not for fame or success. With my wit and observation, I nabbed the murderer to everyone's surprise and dismay. The success of the case made fame kiss my toes, but the police grew cold feelings towards me. First, the bitterness was one-sided. Later, with the continued collision of our thinking and ideas, it became a competition for us to prove each other wrong. Coming to the case, Robert Jr. was famous as well as an established businessman. He was constantly in the newspaper due to the rounds of an affair between him and a beautiful singer. The case was a goldmine for the press, because now it had glamour and stardom. I reached the spot. It was a small sit-in bakery with musty brown walls and white windows. It was unusual for a rich man to dine here. People were thronging outside the bakery to view the sudden death. Police were having a tough time trying to control the mob. I honk my Ford car on purpose to gain the attention of the press. In seconds, a group of photographers and cameramen with their journalists were rushing towards my car. I took some time to come out of my car, but when I came out, I was surrounded by the sudden flashes which blind my irises. There is a constant tugging and screaming of journalists at my face. I raise my hand to silence everyone, to bring their attention towards me. I will ensure that the culprit is caught and the innocents are given justice. With the help of the police, we will solve the crime as soon as possible. Till then, please maintain your integrity and work ethics. I make a straight beeline towards the bakery, where I'm coldly welcomed by Inspector Houston. Don't come here, fella, without any prior information. Take your media attention somewhere else. He smirks. It would be better if you pay enough attention to your duty, rather than observing my style and sensibility. He stares at me and spits on the ground. So what are the details of the case, Mr. Houston? According to the witness, Robert entered the bakery with singer Sasha. They ordered a lime tart with lemonade. Then, in the middle of the conversation, an argument burst open. A few seconds later, he asks for water, which was given by Sasha from her bottle. In moments, he clenched his head and passed out. So, where is the singer now? She is in the basement of the bakery, hiding from the press. Bring in all the witnesses, and let's interview each one there itself. We agreed to investigate the scene first. Nothing was weird, nor there was anything suspicious. Then we interrogated each eyewitness. First was the singer Sasha, a beautiful woman in her early 20s, with blonde hair and blue eyes. Her cheeks were stained by mascara, and her lips quivered from the constant crying. It was odd that a young girl like her was interested in a man who was in his late 40s. But it is not odd in a patriarchal society. I gave her my handkerchief. A man gotta respect a lady's emotion. So, Miss Sasha, what happened during your brunch at the bakery? Robert called me here to discuss some private matters. He was stressed for the past few weeks. Can you guess what he was about to discuss? I ask. She moves her head from side to side with few sobs. Miss Sasha, when Robert asked for water. Instead, you could have called the waiter. Why did you provide it from your bottle? Robert liked clean filter water. He always used to question the quality of water at restaurants. Hence, I used to carry my own source. Did you hand over the bottle to the police? She nodded. The next person was the waitress, the only witness who was present at the bakery. A young woman in her mid-20s, with hazel eyes and raven black hair. She was confident with her body language and was least affected by the sudden death. What's your name? Rebecca Taylor. for how long you are working here since the past few weeks. Can you describe what happened this morning? Mr. Robert was coming to our bakery for the last few days, but this time he came with Miss Sasha. He ordered tart, and she ordered lemonade. It's wrong to eavesdrop on anybody's conversation, so I was at my counter cleaning the stoves. But in the middle of their conversation, they started arguing. Mr. Robert was demanding Miss Sasha to leave her career. Then he asked for water, to which she gave her own bottle, and in a matter of seconds, he clenched his head and fell on the ground. Where was the owner of the shop? Every morning, the owner goes to buy the supplies for the rest of the day. He went out as usual. The next person was the cleaner boy, who was not the witness. But he was there in the basement of the bakery when the incident took place. What's your name? Vade Danish. So, Vade Miss Rebecca told me that you went to the basement to take a puff of the cigarette. Sometimes you had to twist other people's confession to extract the truth. No, sir. Miss Rebecca had seen a few mice in our basement, so I went there to get rid of them. Okay, so for how long are you working here? 2 years. Everything was done. We talked to the witness. We investigated the scene, but couldn't find a clue. The police, as well as I, was waiting for the medical reports of the corpse, but it had a lot of time to it. Miss Sasha was on house arrest, and other people were under observation. I took a few days to search for the missing links in this case, but could not find one. This morning, I decided to give a visit to the bakery. Through the glass windows, I could see Rebecca taking orders from the customer and Vade helping his owner. I enter inside, and Rebecca gasps her breath seeing me. Did I frighten you, Miss Rebecca? No. I mean, yes. The incident has made us face the worst fears that we never could have expected. What will you like, sir? She asks in a humble tone. Oh, nothing. I just want to sit and relax for a few seconds. Nothing else. She goes away, leaving me in silence. I try to connect the information that I had about this case, but couldn't figure out any missing links. A force knocks at my temples. The migraine bouts were reoccurring every morning. I press my fingers at my head to ease out the pain. I search my pockets for the container of pills, but I couldn't find them. Sir, are you okay? I see Rebecca beside my table. Yeah, everything is fine. Nothing to bother about. She puts a tray in front of me. It has herb tea and strawberry custard. It's for your migraine, sir. It will soothe your nerves. I thank her and dig in my spoon because I have skipped my breakfast this morning. At the last spoon, a thought occurred to me. To clear it, I needed to meet the doctor who was examining the body as well as the reports. I rush out of the bakery without paying the bill and race my car to the hospital. Doctor, did Robert had a migraine? Because according to the witness, he clenched his head before passing out. Did he get a migraine attack while having the arguments with the singer? I don't know, lad. Maybe he had, maybe he hadn't. The technology isn't so developed to bring in the conclusions. What did you find in the reports? The mystery is that we couldn't find anything with his body. The brain and his other organs were intact. But his blood reports are weird. What does the report say? That during their argument, there was the sudden spike of salts in his blood flow. He had large quantities of salts in his body during his death, which we call hypernatremia. In hypernatremia, a person typically feels thirsty. The most serious symptoms of hypernatremia result from brain dysfunction. Severe hypernatremia can lead to confusion, muscle twitching, seizures, coma, and death. So, how did this condition occur in his body? Any clue? We couldn't find that, but the bottle that Miss Sasha gave had typically weird ingredients and salts. I think you should further investigate it. The police were informed about the reports, and we both rushed to the villa of the singer, who was currently under house arrest. Miss Sasha, we found salts and weird ingredients in your bottle, and Mr. Robert died from severe hypernatremia. The justice of Sword points at you, because before he had passed away, he demanded water from you. I drink salt-infused water to keep my voice intact and to keep throat infections away. She started to sob and pleaded in front of us that she was innocent. She was taken in for police custody, and the court will manage the rest of the hearing. We gave a press conference about the case and addressed questions of the media. After a few days, I visited the bakery again to pay my pending bill and to meet the staff. The staff members were happy to see me and greeted me with warm smiles. I paid my bill and talked to each staff personally. Rebecca was happy and asked me about my migraine conditions. That day, how did you know that I got a mild migraine attack? My mother was suffering from migraine, so I recognized the symptoms really fast. So, you live with your mother? No, sir. My mother passed away a year ago. I live on my own. I'm sorry to hear about your mother. Well, take this. I take $50 from my wallet and hand it over to her. Take it as your tip and use it wisely. She takes the money and her warm finger brush with mine. Her cheeks tinge like strawberries, and she gives me a peck on the cheek. I smile at her and walk towards the door. Sir, please do come here again. I turn around and say, I will come if I have time. I know you will. I nod to her and sit into my car and drive to my home with a smile. I was watching a soap opera on television while cooking my dinner. Then I hear a knock on the front door. Who is there? I shout, switching off the television. Sir, it's me, Daniel. I take a sigh of relief and opened the door. Daniel was my counterpart, as well as my personal spy. He used to track the backstory of the cases, as well as the victim. So, Daniel, what brings you here? The back history of Robert Jr. Tell me the juicy details. He was a drug dealer in South Carolina and was once arrested while delivering a load of cocaine capsules. This businessman earns the white money with the help of the black money, I said. Listen, he used to execute his plans with the help of a female doctor. But after his arrest, she was absconding and still is on the wanted list. Here, see her photo. I take the file to view, and my head spins. I reach the kitchen counter for support. I could not believe my eyes. It was Rebecca. What happened? Daniel asked. She is the waitress who works at the bakery where Robert had died. For a few seconds, we glared at each other and rushed to our cars. I sped up my car, not worrying about getting a fine. I rush into the bakery and shout, "Where is Rebecca?" Vade rushes towards me with a note in his hand. "Rebecca quit her job this morning and left a note for you." I take the note and read, "Dear Thomas, take a warm coffee with a heavy breakfast to curb your migraine attacks. Before sleeping, drink a nice herbal tea. It will cure the migraine away. And what else will you like, sir? Your friend, Rebecca." Something catches my eye across the street, and I rush towards the window to see clearly. It's Rebecca, with rendered auburn hairs and a wicked smile. She waves at me, gives a flying kiss, and in the next second disappears. Ransom. 911. "What's your emergency?" An operator spoke through the phone. "I need help. My parents were kidnapped," I screamed as I ran through the front door. "Can you tell us about your location?" They answered. "We will send someone over as soon as possible." "Yes, please. My house is located on Carnaby Street, and the building number is 544. I quickly answered. I could barely keep the phone up because my hands were trembling so vigorously. Some people in black masks broke in through my parents' window and kidnapped them. They just escaped now in a white van. I will let the officers know that. They should be close by now, so it'll be okay, the operator said, with a calm, reassuring voice. This helped me calm down a little bit. Before the operator hung up the call, they told me that the officers were here at last, and that they can take it from here. Around the corner of my street, 3 cars, flashing red and blue, speeded over. The officers had finally arrived. They parked in front of my house, and all of them got out of their cars almost simultaneously. I ran over to them to tell them about what happened, but they already knew the gist of it. "Don't worry, kid. We have sent officers and even called in a helicopter to search for your parents," they told me. "Though it might take some time because the vehicle is nowhere in this area." Hearing that, I started to worry all over again. What happens if they can't find them? Will I ever see my parents again? As those scary thoughts ran wild in my head, my phone started to ring again. The caller's name read, "No caller ID." I answered the phone and put it up to my ear. "Listen up and listen well," someone spoke. "We have your parents with us right now. If you want them to stay alive, you shall do exactly what I tell you." It was them. The same people who kidnapped my parents were now calling me through my phone. "I do anything. Just please don't hurt them," I exclaimed. "Good," they replied. "To save your parents, you will need to pay up a ransom of 10,000. You have a full week. If you don't manage to make enough money, your parents are as good as dead. And one more thing. If you tell anyone about this, we will know I had no choice but to accept the harsh demand. If I didn't, then my parents were going to be killed. Fine, I'll do. Give me 1 week, I replied to them. When they heard those words, they immediately hung up the phone, as if they were in a hurry. The officers spread out around the house to investigate the crime scene. Luckily, none of them were around me while I was having that conversation. Or else, that would have been bad. They searched for a whole hour, and some even interrogated me as a witness. After some time later, all the officers had left to further look into the case. I have left home, all alone, but that wasn't what was bothering me. The kidnappers demanded a ransom of $10,000, but I had not the slightest idea how to earn that much money, which put me at the right spot. A day had passed, and I tried to look around for jobs. However, not a single one of them accepted me because of my age. Next, I tried to get my relatives to lend me some money. I couldn't tell them what was going on, so I made up a lie and told them I needed it for educational purposes. Surprisingly, all of them accepted my request and lent me a total of $5,000. I was halfway there. Another 3 days had passed, and now my total was at $7,960. During those 3 days, I created a little cleaning business. I went door to door, asking a stranger if they wanted my services for the low cost of $150. I lived in a pretty rich neighborhood, so not many people refused my offer. Another day went by, and now my total was at $8,100. I had 2 more days to collect all the money. At the rate I was earning money, I was sure to reach it. But prosperous days never last. My phone, which was stashed away in my left pocket, started to ring. I pulled it out and felt a jolt of fear rush through my body. The person calling me was a no-caller ID. It was them, for sure. Knowing this, I had no choice but to answer. "Hey there, little guy," the kidnapper teased me. "I can tell you've been working hard to get the money." "Yes, I have. In 2 more days, Yeah, about that," they said, interrupting me. "We have decided that we want our money now. You see, one of our criminal buddies has been put in jail, and we need to bail him out." "Wait, no. That wasn't what we agreed on," I yelled at them. "The deal is supposed to end in 2 days." The person on the phone completely ignored the complaint and started, "So, do you have the money? Your parents are safe for now, and you can save them." I didn't have enough. My total, as of right now, was at $8,100, which left me $900 short. What are they going to do? I don't have enough. But I am so close. I have 8,100. That isn't enough, they interrupted me in an angry tone. Bring them out. He clearly wasn't talking to me. Rather, it seemed like the caller was talking to someone else. Since you couldn't hold up the end of the bargain, we will have to dispose of your parents, the kidnapper said. However, let's make this a little more interesting, shall we? The kidnapper paused for a moment to collect his thought, while I was just standing there, processing everything he had just said. I will let you choose who dies, either your mom or dad. As those words reached my brain, my heart almost stopped. This isn't happening. You have 10 seconds, he said. If you don't choose, they both die. My task was to choose which one dies, and it has to be between my mom and dad. If I didn't choose, they would both die. 10. The kidnapper started to count down. While this was happening, I was frozen in the midst of my raging thoughts. 9. What am I going to do? I have to choose one, or both of my parents are going to die. 8. How could I just choose one? I want both of them to be with me. But I needed to choose. 7. I need to choose, but I can't. I can't live in a world without both of them. I need them both. 6. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. 5. Wait, please take me instead of my parents, I cried out. The kidnapper, completely ignoring me once again, continued to count down. 4. It's no good. I'm forced to choose. This can't be happening, right? 3. My thoughts started to get jumbled. I could not think straight at this point. My heart was beating so fast that it felt like it was going to drop dead any moment. 2 seconds remained, and I still hadn't come up with a decision. Is this how it ends? Was all my hard work for nothing? 1. At the last second, I had finally processed my thoughts. But by then, it was too late. Loud sounds boomed through the speaker of the phone. It was the sound of a gun's firing. Then I noticed what had just happened. On that unfaithful day, both of my parents were killed, just because I couldn't make a proper decision. Murder at Kasserine Pass. Murder at Kasserine Pass. The Bo-Chebka Road, deep inside the Kasserine Pass, narrowed to little more than a camel track, along a dry riverbed and steep cliffs. Rooted in the pale sand, a grove of palm trees jutted out from the ground as if thrown down and forgotten long ago. The remnants of the U.S. 26th Regimental Combat Team used the shade of the palm trees to dig their foxholes. Covered in sand and blisters, men hacked until the exposed roots of the palm trees aggravated their progress. Collapsing, exhausted, they lay where they fell, swollen tongues aching for water. Lieutenant Myers walked among his men, giving words of encouragement, and promised water would arrive when teams returned from Ain Boudrias up the road. As an officer, he thanked and encouraged his men for their hard fight against the Germans. He hoped fresh troops, supplies, and ammunition would arrive by the next morning. But he couldn't make promises. Around 2 in the morning, a mule train arrived with water, and Lieutenant Myers saw every man drank his fill. Some even vomited after they drank too greedily. Others, familiar with working in the heat, sipped slowly and intentionally. Lieutenant Myers lay down in a foxhole, as exhausted as the rest, and drifted off to sleep. At 04:30, Sergeant Thicket woke the lieutenant for him to walk rounds once again, walking from foxhole to foxhole. He leaned over and checked his men. In the dim light, low in the eastern sky, his outline became visible among the tall palm trees. Approximately 05 o'clock, a single shot rang out far to the left of his position. Lieutenant Myers clutched his chest and dropped to the ground. Confused men, roused by the shot, began returning fire into the vast, empty valley in front of them, thinking they were under attack. Less than a minute later, the firing stopped, and the medics pronounced Lieutenant Myers dead. Captain Williams' Task Force. Welvert, February 21st, 1943. Criminal Investigations Division, North Africa. I surveyed the ground where Lieutenant Myers lay after he'd been shot. It's possible a sniper took advantage of the early morning light, but further examination of the body suggests the shot came from much closer. The bullet struck the lieutenant on the upper left side of his chest. Damage to the heart and lungs, terminal. Some witnesses report hearing one shot, while others heard 2 or 3. The additional shots could have been an echo or edgy trigger fingers, as reported to me. Everyone began furring into the valley below. Furring stopped in less than a minute. No further casualties. Witnesses report the shot sounded nearest the last foxhole in the line, manned by Staff Sergeant Culver Anderson, Private First Class Andrew Taylor, and Private Jacob Clark. Interviews to follow. Suspect, Staff Sergeant Culver Anderson. Staff Sergeant Anderson. Witness say they heard a gunshot this morning from your foxhole around 500, said Captain Williams. Did you fire that shot? Captain Williams said, challenging him. No, sir. I heard a shot and thought the Germans were attacking, so I turned and looked around for them. I didn't see anyone, so I jumped out of my foxhole and ran along the line and told everyone to stop firing. Sergeant Anderson leaned forward, waving his hands in innocence. We are already low on ammunition, and we'd need it later if the Germans did attack, he said. Were you aware that the shot fired killed an officer? Asked Captain Williams. No, sir. Not until the firing died down. Rumor spread it might be an officer. I found out later, just like everyone else. Sergeant Anderson said. Were you alone in your foxhole, Sergeant? No, sir. There were 2 men with me, Private Taylor and Private Clark. They were sleeping, sir. I had the last watch, said Sergeant Anderson. Are you sure neither of them were awake and slipped away? Then maybe they fired the shot? Asked the captain. I'm sure of it, sir. I thought the shot came from behind me, and when I looked, I couldn't see anyone. It's possible a sniper hid on the hillside next to us. The sound of the shot may have been further beyond that, but these canyons are pretty steep. The explanation sounded plausible, but Captain Williams still didn't believe it came from the enemy. Captain Williams pivoted one last time and pointed a finger at Sergeant Anderson. "Sergeant Anderson, don't play games with me. Our witness said it came from your foxhole. It had to be you, Private Taylor or Private Clark. Which one of you did it?" "Sir, I don't know who fired the shot or where it came from. All I know is, while I stood my post, I heard a shot," Sergeant Anderson said, more agitated than before. Captain Williams knew men like Sergeant Anderson. These were the men who would do all they could to protect a green recruit. He knew they'd cover for the new guys who were gun-shy or overeager to shoot. The possibility of an inexperienced soldier with an itchy trigger finger shooting the lieutenant thinking he saw the enemy. It was possible. He knew he'd never get a confession out of this man. Men like this were a rare breed in the army. "Sergeant Anderson, we've been at Bao Chebka Pass all of 18 hours. Everyone's tired after yesterday's fallback. We lost a lot of good men, and stragglers are still coming in across the line. These things happen. People get tired or confused, and no one really knows who they're fighting with every day. Is it possible you, or a man with you, mistook the lieutenant as an enemy soldier this morning?" "No, sir. I'd just met these men last night. I'd have known if anything were wrong, and nothing looked out of sorts. If there were anything, I'd have told you," said Sergeant Anderson. "That will be all, Sergeant. You're dismissed, and I'll be in touch if I need you. Captain Shugart is taking over your company." "Thank you, sir." Suspect, Private, First Class, Andrew Taylor. Private First Class Taylor. "I am Captain Williams with the CID. Do you know what the CID is?" said the captain. "Yes, sir. The CID is the Criminal Investigations Division of the United States Army, sir." "Very good, soldier. You're young to be a PFC. You've done well in the Army. I expect you'll be a corporal before long." "Yes, sir. I served in junior ROTC in high school. They gave me a bump in rank when I enlisted," said Private Taylor. "Wow, junior ROTC. You have the makings of an officer. Do you think you will try to be an officer someday?" asked the captain. "Well, geez, sir, I don't know. I've never thought about it much until the war started. I thought I'd have to go to college first," said Private Taylor. "No, of course not, son. Men of all ranks get promoted to second lieutenant. They're called field promotions. Have you ever heard of those?" "Well, yes, sir. I've heard of them, but I thought you needed to do something brave. I didn't think I've done anything brave yet." "Well, Corporal, it takes a special soldier, someone with real leadership, to get promoted in the ranks, especially to the rank of officer." Captain Williams called him a higher rank to gauge Private Taylor's reaction. "I'm only a private first class, sir. I have to wait a few more months to be a corporal." "See, there you go. Honesty. Honesty is an outstanding trait to have as a soldier. I think we should make honesty a prime factor in the field commissioning program. Don't you? Said the captain. Well, I think so, sir. I think it would be important, said Private Taylor. That's good, soldier. I'm really glad you said that. And that brings me around to a question I have for you. Did you hear the gunshot this morning? Well, yes, sir. I heard it. Do you know where it came from? I'm not sure I know where it came from. It sounded nearby, but I couldn't be sure. I took the first watch and fell asleep around 2 a.m. You were sleeping. You had a rough day yesterday, and we lost a lot of good men. We lost another man this morning. What do you know about that? Yes, sir. It was a hard day yesterday. Private Taylor rubbed at his eyes as if trying to block out the images. I heard someone was shot, but I don't know much about it. Was it a sniper, sir? That's the rumor. Is that why I'm here this morning? Asked Private Taylor. Yes, Corporal. I mean Private Taylor. We lost a good man this morning. Lieutenant Myers died around 0500. The rumor is it came from a location near where you were sleeping. It's an unfortunate way to have a vacancy, but Lieutenant Myers died because of that shooting. Now we have a company without a lieutenant. We have a poor dead man who will never know justice. The truth will have to come out someday. If we could solve this mystery right away, things may just fall into place for the right person. Maybe even a new second lieutenant could rise through the ranks. What do you think about that? Private Taylor wiggled in his seat. He looked excited or uncomfortable. It was hard for the captain to tell. Honestly, sir, I woke up when the shooting started. I don't know where the shot came from, he said. Thank you, Private. I'll let you go, and if I need anything more, can I count on you to be honest with me? Yes, sir. Private Jacob Clark. Private Clark. I am Captain Williams, the lead investigator for the Criminal Investigative Division. Witnesses say you were near the location of the shot fired this morning that killed Lieutenant Myers. Is that correct? Yes, sir. I heard the shot. It was only one shot, said Private Clark. Do you know who fired the shot? Asked Captain Williams. Sir? Said Private Clark. The shot. Did you see who fired the shot? Asked the captain. I remember nothing. It all happened so fast, said the private. If you knew who it is, are you aware it is a crime to withhold information about the person involved? Yes, sir. Are you saying you know who fired the shot? Asked the captain. Sir, no, sir. It all happened so fast. Did you know that covering for someone is also a crime? Maybe you know who fired the shot, and you just don't want to say. It's called being an accomplice to murder, said the captain. The kid looked dumbstruck. I didn't know that, sir. Honestly, it all happened so fast. Did you also know there is a second crime being committed by the killer if they are threatening a subordinate to covering up a murder? It's called retribution. If someone you know is telling you they would hurt you or kill you for telling the truth about this killing, then creating fear of retribution is a crime. I didn't know that, sir. Yes, Private Clark. It is a crime, and a very serious one. We do not look kindly upon those who threaten retribution to subordinates. If you know anything, you are free to tell me. I will make sure you are safe from the one threatening you, and I'll have them removed immediately. Is there anything you'd like to tell me, soldier? I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what you mean. I was in my foxhole this morning when I heard this rifle shot, and I jumped. I don't remember anything after that. Then everyone started shooting, said Private Clark. The young man looked sullen and weak. He slouched in the chair, staring into the distance, 100 miles away. Pacing back and forth across the tent, Captain Williams looked into the private eyes. He'd seen this before, after a fight. Unfortunately, the captain felt each man knew something he did or didn't want to say. Confessions didn't come easy. Captain Williams thought about a case 6 weeks ago where a junior enlisted and a captain fought behind a bar in Morocco. The enlisted man should have been court-martialed and the officer reprimanded. Turns out the two men knew each other from high school, and they fought over a girl they both knew. Neither confessed to starting the fight, and no witnesses came forward. The answer stared him in the face, but the guys covered for each other. Captain Williams believed the same thing might happen here. He released the private and stood at the tent flap, trying to piece together everything he knew. The men on the line were all lying to him. That much he knew. Kasserine Pass, February 19th, 1943. As Rommel's 10th Panzer Division plowed through the defenses covering the Kasserine Pass, the 26th Armored Brigade and the 26th Combat Team dug in along the canyons, running west towards Thala, Tunisia. The Americans put up stiff resistance, then withdrew. Hours of gunfire and hundreds of dead and dying littered the sand in their brutal retreat. Around 3,300 Americans were killed or wounded, and over 3,000 were taken prisoner. On the southern flank, Lieutenant Myers and the men of the 26th Combat Team held on as long as they could. Lieutenant Myers, we need to get those men out of those holes and behind the tanks, yelled Sergeant Anderson. Sergeant Anderson, you will leave those men where they are. They are the only thing between Rommel and Algeria. Do you understand? But sir, they are getting massacred out there. I just saw 3 men get run over in those shallow holes. They have to pull back. Sergeant Anderson, I will not tell you again. See to your men, that is an order. As Sergeant Anderson left the lieutenant, his anger fumed. He ran towards his line and did what he could to check on his men. Those men left, held out as long as they could, as the Germans moved closer and closer. He knew they couldn't hold the line. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Myers carried armfuls of ammunition to his men until he ran out. His radio man died early in the fight, and the 2 men who followed already wounded. Grabbing the radio, he jumped into a crater and found a soldier lying on the ground. 2 men lay beside him, already dead, as this one stared into the sky. "Soldier, return fire," said Lieutenant Myers. "I can't, sir." The words came out in a hopeless tone. "I'm out of ammunition. We all are. That's how they died. They just ran out. Then they got shot." The exhaustion was clear. The battle raged on, and everyone fought on as best they could. "Lieutenant, what do we do?" he said pleadingly. "Private, what is your name?" he asked. "Private Clark, sir. Private Clark. You are now my radio man. Get this thing working and listen for orders. Do you understand, Private?" he said. "Yes, sir." He struggled to talk from lack of water. He moved slowly, but he made it to the young lieutenant's side and grabbed the radio. No sooner than he'd picked up the handle, and he heard the words. "I say again, pull back, pull back. Lieutenant, they ordered us to pull back." The words came out in a half-shout. Without hesitation, Lieutenant Myers gave the signal for everyone to pull back. The Germans held nothing back that day. They took Kasserine Pass, and they intended to keep it. By nightfall, every man, not killed or wounded, pulled back to Buchebka Pass. The Germans came from the east, and Sergeant Anderson guided his men out of the fight. Lieutenant Myers directed them south and along the cliff walls. By midnight, they were digging in and waiting for reinforcements. "Private, get over here and start digging. 2 men per foxhole, all along this line. The rest of you follow with me," said Sergeant Anderson. "Sarge, when do you think we'll get some water?" asked a soldier. "I'm working on it. Even if I have to take the lieutenant's canteen myself, all along the line." The remaining 110 men dug in and waited for anything that looked like help. Tank and truck noises echoed through the canyon. Everyone felt on edge. "Sarge, what do you think happened today?" asked Private Taylor. "We suffered a loss today, kid." His expression mild and disappointed. "We suffered a big loss today." Sergeant Anderson kept watch as Private Taylor and Private Clark dug the foxhole. Private Clark fell silent and moved at half the speed of Private Taylor. Private Taylor nodded at the sergeant. They both looked at the young man, struggling to keep sand from falling back into the hole. A look of concern and understanding crossed the sergeant's face. Taking the shovel from Private Clark, he began digging and let the man rest. He finished the hole and told the others to get some sleep. Each man took a 2-hour watch, leaving Private Clark last. Midway through, around 500, a shot rang out. "Private, what did you just do?" asked Sergeant Anderson. "He wouldn't let us leave. We were there all day. He had to die." The rest of the men opened fire. Then the shooting died down. "We can't go back. We can't." Tears left dusty tracks down his face. The poor boy cried. "What do we do, Sarge?" asked Private Taylor. "We keep our mouths shut. That's what we do." I'll send him back to the aid station when they get here. He's done. The author created the thoughts and characters. This is a story of fiction. The events related to World War II have some factual information, but most details are from the author's imagination. Banana robbers! They were laughing as they took the last of the money from the friendly banana bank. They knew that after this day, that they would be the richest bananas of the banana world. They had to make a quick escape, though. The alarms were ringing in their ears. The banana cops were on their way. They could just hear the cops as they ran. Be Banana and Go Banana made a great team. They were the best bananas at robbing. They knew that after they robbed, they would have to split the money and have to pretend that they were innocent. They were also great actors. They knew to be part of the banana stampede after they robbed, so they could pretend like they were there the whole time. The banana stampede took place every day at the banana park. It was the best place to hide after doing something wrong. Everyone at the banana stampede knew how it felt to do something wrong. They were all banana criminals at one point. They all got the wrath of the sacred rule breaking punishment. They all stopped committing crimes after that. Once they reached the banana stampede, they were very hangry, so they killed a fellow banana and ate him. They hid the remains of the fellow banana. They knew that if they got caught, then they would be in huge trouble. They heard the banana cops coming. The cops started asking around if they saw anyone who came from the direction of the friendly banana bank. One of the bananas started crying. She told everyone that Be Banana and Go Banana killed her husband. The cops took them to Banana Court. They finally started court after a long lecture about how you drive banana cars, which was way off topic. They had the whole banana stampede there that was not causing a stampede currently. They had a bunch of chairs in random groups. The judge was sitting down in a giant chair with bananas all over it. He also had a small desk with a banana volunteer to be the hammer. Welcome to the all-wonderful court, where we find out if you are guilty or not. Da Banana Judge told everyone, "Everyone take your seats and be quiet unless I tell you to speak. Today, we have two problems. The friendly banana bank has been robbed with not a single trace of money left. There was also a murder at the banana stampede that was caught by Mrs. Banana, witnessed. Mrs. Banana, will you tell us what you saw?" Of course, I was talking to him, and all of the sudden, I saw a knife through him. I looked behind him, and I saw Be Banana and Go Banana with the knife. Then they ate every single little piece of him. It was like a nightmare, Mrs. Banana declared. Be Banana and Go Banana, you two have earned 10 seconds in jail so far, Da Banana Judge said. Mr. Peel, you said you saw who stole the money from the Friendly Banana Bank. Will you tell us what you saw? Yes, I was walking my banog, and I saw B Banana and Go Banana walk into the bank. I stalled so I could see what they were doing. After a while, they came out with stacks and stacks of money. I ran as fast as I could to the nearest cop. I told them what I saw. That day, I also saw them steal all my banog bones. I was so mad. I wanted to tell the cops, but I thought that it wasn't as important as other things. Mr. Peel said, "Thank you, B Banana and Go Banana. Will you tell us your side of the story to see if you get 15 seconds in the corner or not?" Da Banana Judge said, "Yes, da wonderful judge. We were at the banana restaurant, and then when we were done, we saw Mr. Peel steal the money. We saw him run to his house and then tell the cops lies. When we went down to the banana stampede and saw Mrs. Banana murder her own husband," Go Banana said. By this point, the room was filled with murmurs. Everyone was standing, and they were scared to know who was the actual imposter. The volunteer banana hit his loudly and hard, on purposely. The room filled with silence. "Thank you. I cannot tell who is guilty or not, so you four get to go to jail for 20 seconds. Da Banana Judge said, "Be bananas, Go Bananas, Mrs. Bananas," and Mr. Peel's faces were filled with shock. The banana cops pushed them into a jail. 20 seconds later, they were free to go out. B Banana and Go Banana knew that that was an awful punishment, and that they would never commit a crime again. But one thing bothered them. They wanted to know the punishments. They knew that they shouldn't commit another crime to do it, but catch someone committing a crime. One day, they reported someone stealing someone's jewelry. It was Mr. Chop, who was a retired server. Once they got to court, there was another lecture about how it is so easy to turn sides, and another lecture after that about what kind of bananas make videos. Finally, court started, and they found out that Mr. Chop was actually just helping a friend return jewelry. No one was put in jail, but on the way out, while DA Judge was having a conversation with other people, B Banana and Go Banana stole the sacred rule book. They almost got caught, and they decided to take a drive. They didn't take just any drive. They took the longest drive ever in the banana history. The drive took 12 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. The next day, they went on the second longest drive in the banana history. They drove through mountains and valleys, and finally onto the banana interstate. Just another nameless victim. I just spent the entire evening in the library reading romance books with him, wanting nothing more but to feel his lips against mine. In shock, I quickly turned my head to face her. Her black hair was flowing with the wind as she leaned against the bridge, staring out at the ocean. It was beyond beautiful. What? I managed to get out. Yep. It was you the entire time. She turned her head slightly, meeting her alluring hazel eyes with mine. We've been best friends for over 3 years now. We've gone from rivals to classmates to friends to best friends. And that's where it was supposed to stop. Nothing more, nothing less. But the more I got to know her, and the more I got to spend time with her, the faster my heart went. Every single time. And it was only until this very moment I figured out that I wasn't the only one who felt this way. A few minutes before, OMG, they found each other in the end. Now they'll get married and be together forever, she fantasized. It was adorable how oblivious she acted, as if the world was nothing but sunshine and rainbows. You realize they probably won't get together again, right? Stop being such a pessimist, Dill. They will figure out, and when they do, they'll be together again, and bam, true love at its best. I laughed. Together, we just spent 4 hours in the library, reading nothing but romance novels. It was supposed to be enjoyable, but when you have feelings for the girl that you're reading them with, it's hard not to feel a smidge of jealousy whenever the main characters do anything romantic. Ugh, I wish I could have the perfect love story. There it was. The wish that made my heart blast into smithereens. She had a crush, one that was obviously not me. She always ranted on and on about him, how she liked him, but he didn't like her. I felt the exact same way. Well, maybe if you would just tell me who he is, I could help you, I say, trying not to sound anything but teasing. Even though she's everything I wanted, I still want her to be happy, even if it meant that it wasn't with me. Do you really want to know? She reeled, leaning towards me, trying to get me to back down. I played along. I really do, I teased, leaning closer. I could feel the butterflies forming in my stomach. Okay, how about this? I give you a bunch of hints, and with them, you try to eliminate and figure out who it is. Easy enough. She leaned even closer, waiting for me to accept the challenge. I'm about to have my heart broken. I know it, but I still end up learning closer to the point where our faces are only a few inches apart as I whisper, "Game on." He has brown, messy hair, and his name starts with the letter D. 10 minutes passed. We decided to walk home while playing our game. Over 50 possibilities eliminated. Only 3 left. That leaves Darren, Dwayne, and Dawson, I observe. So close. All right. Here are your final 3 hints. He's a bookworm with amazing grades. He's one of my friends. and he has an interesting past. I process the pieces of information, making 3 crosses, each through someone's name. Wait, everyone's eliminated then. There's no one left. Confusion rises as I go through the hints and the names, seeing if I made a mistake. Nope, there should be one, she softly says. At this point in time, we were already halfway home, stopping right in the middle of a bridge, surrounded by cherry blossom trees. I stop to think as she leans across the railing, facing the ocean. That's impossible, I comment, going through the names for the second time, still lost. Want another hint? Present, I thought. It was me? I'm in utter shock. Has it really been me the entire time? Yeah, She pauses. Suddenly, she spins around, facing me, eyes glassy. It takes a minute to realize she's crying. Hey, what's with the tears? I carefully ask as I slowly reach my hand to touch her soft, warm cheeks. I caress her face, stroking my thumb across her cheek, wiping away her tears. She doesn't respond. She just dips her head so I don't see. I carefully pull her head back up, trying to word what I want to say carefully. Hey, look at me. Slowly, her eyelids open, and her eyes, once again, find mine. I smile, knowing exactly what I want to say. You know, I've liked you since the moment I saw you. I just was too scared to admit it. Scared that you would reject me. Scared that you wouldn't want to be friends anymore. Scared for our relationship. Yet you still pulled up the courage to tell me, even if it might have brought upon rejection or humiliation. You always were the brave one. That got her smiling. Really? She asks, her smile getting bigger and bigger as I nod. Really? Our faces are only 3 inches apart. I look at her once more. She nods. I have the go. Slowly, I close the gap. Time seemed to stop. The only hint that it didn't was the wind blowing cherry blossoms all around us. My heart pounded louder and louder, feeling as if it was going to burst out of my chest. Every time she leaned in, I pressed harder, not wanting to let go. Her lips felt warm and soft, the only sensation I was able to process. The only hint that this was all real was the emptiness felt when she would slowly lean back for air. But once she came back, it felt like a dream once again. Slowly, I brought my hand to her hair and the other to her face as she rested her hands against my chest. Her hair was soft and smelled like coconuts. Slowly, I brought the hand on her face back to my side and to her chest. Softly, I pushed, applying a small bit of pressure. She leaned back and gasped. I'd finally done it. What? She uttered in confusion. She looked down, and the realization downed her. Why? Tears started spilling as she slowly started falling back, I caught her delicate body in one hand, smirking. I'd give it another minute before you're gone. Any last words? My parents are serial killers. Together, they've had over 100 victims. Once they lay their eyes on someone, it's impossible to escape. I was no different. Forced to kill as a child, tortured till I obeyed, became a force of habit as a teenager. I thought you cared. Why? She gasped. You thought you were something special, didn't you? Well, let's make sure we get this right this time. I leaned in closer, enjoying the moment. You are just like the rest of them. I spent 3 years grooming this very moment. 3 years trying to get you to develop feelings for me, only so I could kill you in the most enjoyable way possible. I take a slow, deep breath in, a sense of happiness and satisfaction taking over me. This girl has been the hardest target so far, but I've done it. I drove the knife into her. She gasped, trying her best to stay alive, but it was of no use. The knife was deep enough into her heart to only last her a minute, tops. I gently lay her down and pull the knife out. She softly screams in pain. I get up, take one last look at my best work, smile, and walk away, spinning the knife, covered with blood in my hand. Did you ever love me, Dill? I stop. I only was able to get a few steps away from her before she screams those 6 words. I refuse to turn back, but I can't help but answer. No, you're just another nameless victim, the invisible murder. Start from the beginning, I sigh, and turn back the needle of time to... What time was it? I almost chuckle. I was so desperately watching the clock tick by, and now I can barely remember what it said. 9 o'clock, I think. I try to remember everything exactly as it was. Any small detail could help. Could be the distant tapping sound, or the odd stain on a shirt, or the scrap of paper that cracks open the case. I know that. I've read the books. It happened around 9 p.m. I was sitting in the security center, doing my job, when a man walked across the camera on the 5th floor. He was just walking down the hallway, and then I take a breath. A thick layer of dust clings to my dark finger as I drag it across the desk, my mind elsewhere. In my head, I'm back in that room with all the screens and the uncomfortable squished chair that I hate. My eyes honed in on the screen, just to my left. Take your time, coaxes the detective. He looks down at me patiently from across the rickety old desk, and then another man walked into the frame with a knife in his hand. It happened so fast, I didn't see it coming. He stabbed the man in the chest. Another steadying breath. My fingers move to my chest of their own accord, tracing the spot where the knife penetrated. There was blood everywhere. There really was. I didn't know there could be so much from only a small stab wound. Staining his beige polo shirt, saturating the already blood-red carpet, dripping from the shimmering silver blade. What happened then? The security camera went black. I searched the other screens for the man, but he was nowhere. It's like he just what? I chuckle humorlessly at the absurdity of it all. It's like he just disappeared, I mutter. I know how crazy I sound, but still I stare into space, watching the dust particles drift in the glow of what small bit of street light seeps through the broken blinds. This room must not have been used in years. No wonder I've never noticed it before. Is that all? The detective asks. It happened very fast. And it had been fast. So very, very fast. I could have blinked and missed it. What would have happened then? The detective stares almost aggressively into my face, trying to catch a lie, but he won't find one. I would never lie about something so important. Mr. Kessler, is it? Yes, sir. Mr. Kessler, my officers are still searching the building at this time, but at the present moment, there is no evidence that a murder took place. My stomach drops. What? There is nothing unusual at the supposed crime scene you pointed out to us, and the security footage was of no assistance, he says. What? How is that possible? I saw it happen, I say, nearly shouting. It's hard to read him. But if I had to place his furrowed eyebrows and calm manner, I would say there was a twinge of bewilderment and perhaps a touch of curiosity. There is no security footage. It was missing when we got to the security center. You didn't happen to take it, did you? What? Of course not, I yell, indignation filling my bones. Why in hell would I steal the security footage? As far as I know, you were the only one in the security center after when you say the murder took place. His nonchalant manner drives me up the wall. I know he's a policeman, but how could anyone seem to care so little about a murder? Does he not believe me? But it wasn't me. I enunciate each word as if speaking to a child. Why would I get rid of the footage? I do not know, Mr. Kessler. That is exactly the answer I was attempting to obtain from you. The detective pauses thoughtfully. There was nothing at the scene of the crime. No blood, no weapon, no body. Nothing that even seems slightly suspicious. There are no missing persons reports of an elderly man in the city right now. The security footage you claim to have seen is gone. Yes, I know. You're a broken record. I roll my eyes, frustrated. Why do you expect me to believe that a murder took place in this building tonight? He asks, beginning to look annoyed and frustrated. I almost open my mouth to shout, but stop. With a start, I realize that it's a fair question. He doesn't believe me. Why would anyone? It seems so unlikely that a murder could have occurred in the first place, aside from my account. No evidence at all. Nothing except my word, and the detective has no reason to trust that. A new, and cold fear rises inside me. Is someone about to get away with murder because I saw it? I mumble, unconvincingly. I only process how pathetic it sounds as it leaves my lips. Mr. Kessler, I am going to write in my report that this was a false alarm. I believe you are tired or somehow otherwise mentally distressed, and you didn't see what you think you saw. I don't know how to react. At first, I'm angry. How could the detective so easily disregard this? How could I possibly make this up? But the rest of me knows he has a point. It was a mind trick, Mr. Kessler. You're wasting my time and the time of all of my colleagues. He raises his voice, and it pulses with the kindling of anger. Go home. Get some sleep. Don't try to pull something like this again. And just be grateful you're not being charged. Now I know how to feel. I didn't try to do this. This is not my fault. And if there's even a chance I'm telling the truth, shouldn't they at least find out? The detective turns and walks toward the door behind him. But as he reaches for the tarnished golden doorknob, he hesitates. Do you recall what the so-called culprit looked like? He inquires, turning to face me again, with a look of sheer curiosity, and maybe even a trace of amusement. What's wrong with him? Didn't he just say I imagined it? Why does it matter if you think I just made it up, detective? I say, feeling snarky. I can still charge you, I sigh, attempting to recall the man with the knife. Graying hair, black t-shirt, maybe 5'9". The detective frowns. Really? 5'9"? Yeah. Why? Come on, I look at least 6 feet. The detective chuckles. Oops.